Welcome back to Downtown with Teona Brown. Today I am joined by a special guest who I've known since he was quite young, Matty Armour.
Yes.
But if you don't mind, I usually call you Matty Armour.
Perfectly fine.
Okay, so just a little background. Matt is a firefighter here in Marlborough in EMT, and currently the union president for Local 1714.
Yes, ma'am.
The Firefighters Union?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, thank you for everything you do for the city, because just being a firefighter EMT alone, that's big, but then to kind of take on that side gig of, really being there for your brothers and sisters.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's always a very humbling experience when you go to the grocery stores and people come up to you and thank you for your service. It's, you get a little awkward. You don't know how to answer it sometimes, but I think the easiest way for us to respond is thanking the public for always being very appreciative of what it is that we go through or what we have to deal with, and always they always show us a lot of love when we're out in the city, so it's appreciated.
No, it's what you guys do. I always say, police and fire, as all of us are looking to get away from those scenarios and move as far away from them.
Yep.
You guys are running toward them and handling it. So
unfortunately, it's it's a necessary evil in today's society, but
yeah,
it's worth it.
Yep. And so, which station are you based out of?
So I work up at the Pleasant Street station, 98 Pleasant Street, which is affectionately known as The Hill.
Yes. That's the only one that I've actually gotten a tour of. So my high school classmate, Laura Urkelani.
Yep. Also
is she
a firefighter.
Is she still at that station?
No, Laura now works in our East Side station on Boston Post Road. She's on Engine 3 as the primary motor pump operator.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, love Laura. So
she's awesome.
She was super awesome, and when my son was little, when Tanner was little, she let us come into the station on Pleasant Street. I almost just called it Pleasant Hill. And
that'll work.
Yeah, showed us around. He got to, I think, try on some of the turnout gear and saw how heavy that was.
The kids love it coming into the station, and truth be told, we love it just as much. It's always kind of, those moments are kind of when you remember being a little kid and, firefighters would walk into your school or something like that. It kind of brings you back a little bit, and, it's just as cool for us.
Yeah, I still remember. So I went to Bigelow School downtown, and one of my favorites was when Officer Jerry Spratt would come in, and he was just such a personality. Sure. I don't know if you ever got to experience him. I know you're a little younger than me.
Yeah, a little bit.
So that was always fun. And then there was a Roby the robot, I remember, used to come around to the schools with one of the officers. And so going back to when I first met you. So
long time ago.
Yes. So your mom and my father-in-law were very close friends.
They certainly were.
Sadly, my father-in-law passed away.
Mark was a good man. Mark had a very deep impact on my childhood. I can recall many a times, he'd take me fishing down the Met. We'd hunt for crawfish underneath the rocks. I grew up with Chris and Scotty, and I was around them all the time as a young kid. And they were always, they were a little bit older, so it was, mysterious and cool for me to be hanging out with the older kids. But Mark was great. Mark, once again, he always showed me a lot of love, and he'd play pool with me and stuff like that. So
yeah, I feel the same way about your mom from the first time I met her. So I started dating Chris in 2002.
Yep.
And so it was probably sometime around there, or 2003, that I met the Armour family.
Yeah.
And your mom was always so sweet to me, coming into the Legion. And then I remember going to the breakfast at the Moose.
Yep.
And I think your dad was cooking.
Yep.
I'm glad to hear they're both doing well, and I'm sure they're loving being grandparents.
They're eating it up. My mother is absolutely head over heels, and my father is too. It's kind of cool now, as I'm sure you're aware. Once you become a parent, it's kind of cool to watch your parents. It's almost like they get to start over again being parents. It's fun to watch.
But like a way more lenient version.
Well, yeah, they get to give you back at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's hilarious. Yeah. That that now we get to be in that position
sure.
of kind of seeing that. But so Penelope, we talked about how much I love that name.
It's a great name.
So Penelope is going to be a big sister. So you and your wife Ashley, who was before marrying you, Ashley Sullivan, related to the Sullivans of Sully history
The
right here
infamous
downtown.
Sully's
Pub. And so when is baby number 2 coming?
Baby number 2 is due September 10th. That's obviously our tentative due date. We could go a little bit early. Penelope was actually, I want to say 10 days late. So who knows? But right around the end of summer, we should expect number 2.
Okay.
So we'll definitely have our hands full then.
Are you going to find out gender or get surprised?
No, we never found out with Penelope. That's like it's a tradition amongst my wife's family. None of her cousins or anybody in her family that has children, none of them find out. And I, by nature, am a planner. So when we found out we were pregnant the first time, she was like, "Hey, listen, we're not finding out." And I kind of subtly freaked out because I need to know and I need to plan.
Like, okay.
Yeah, but it was non-negotiable, so I really had no say in the matter.
Good man.
However, I will say, after the fact, it was the best decision because there was no surprise like the surprise you find out whether it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
It's truly like in the moment one of the greatest surprises you'll ever have. So
Well,
I'm glad we did it.
I was going to say, now you get to do it again.
Thanks.
So yeah, that'll be fun. I don't think I could have done it because I'm also a planner. I could have gone into it saying like, oh yeah, I'll be surprised. But the end of 40 weeks, I would have known.
There were multiple occasions where I was like, I would have slipped the doctor some money to be like, hey, just tell me. But we wrote it out. And as I said, it was worth the wait.
Yeah.
Worth the wait for sure.
No, I bet it was. I'm definitely not going to be doing it again myself, but
well, we're getting a little up there in age ourselves, so I'll never say never, but I'm going to guess that two is probably the number for us.
That's a nice number.
2's a solid number. You're not outmatched.
Yeah, and you go out to eat. It's easy to get table for 4.
Yeah.
Sometimes easier than table for 5.
Correct. Correct.
So I just wanted to touch on one big thing that you've done for the city.
Ooh.
And so this is where some big thanks are definitely like due your way. So, around Christmas season.
Yes.
And with the pandemic that came upon us and children weren't able to get out to go to their usual places to say hi to Santa, you figured out a way to bring Santa to literally all of the children in the city of Marlborough.
I gotta give the kudos and the credit where it's due. So the original pandemic time that we did that, Assistant Chief Jeff Gogan was one of the instrumental people that kind of strung that together. Forgive me because I can't remember who some of the other participants were, but it was kind of one of those things. Truth be told, that from its conception date to the small window of time that they actually had to pull it off, it was pretty impressive that they were able to coordinate such a large event in such a short amount of time.
And the police departments helped out as well.
Yeah,
right?
Officer LaRose, Andy LaRose, jumped on board when we did that originally as well, and he participated as the Grinch. So those guys really kind of deserve the credit. I think it's intended use was to obviously bring the spirits up.
Yep.
And then, unfortunately, after the initial year of COVID, things kind of started to slow down and taper off a little bit. And then we didn't do it. And then I can't remember who I was talking to, but we were just sitting around. Was like, you know what? Let's bring it back. And we did it for that year. We had a little bit more time.
Lindsay Jarek was with you.
I was just going to say, a very dear friend of mine, Lindsay Jarek from the MEDC. She was super supportive of it. She jumped in with both feet and wanted to help us as well. And, she helped come up with some of the graphic designs to put on our website. She literally rode shotgun in the car with me, my wife, and my daughter, and was handling like the updated social media posts. It was truly like a really, really great event, and it was heartwarming to drive across the city and see it. That being said, I think the reason that there was that year in between after the first year, we got lambasted on social media from people, you know, you guys skipped this street and you guys, you know, came by too late on this date and my kid waited. And, you know, I don't want to say it like we understood and we appreciated that it was, you know, something that probably people missed and were upset about. But, you know, we were trying to do a good deed and it went a little south when that happened. So we tried to revive it, and I think we did a good job the second time around trying to coordinate a little bit better. You know, I think as we went, we learned some lessons. Maybe, you know, there's a lot of streets in Marlborough.
There are.
And trying to hit every single one of them in a 3-night span is not only, you know, it's a bit unrealistic, really, if I'm being honest.
Well, I think during the time of the pandemic and, you know, people not being able to go,
people were literally stuck inside, so it's, you know, it could have taken a week if you wanted it.
That's going to be something that we're going to remember as a positive thing from that crazy time. So
couldn't agree more.
I am actually going to go grab something behind me really quick because we're going to play a quick game.
Sure.
Before this wraps up.
No problem.
So, thank you for waiting. My brother-in-law, Scott Marston, who you know very well.
Sure do.
He wanted to make sure I told you he loves your mustache.
Thank you.
He also has had a mustache for a few years now.
Yes, he has.
And so
he looks just like his father with it, honestly.
Yeah. And so one time, Chris and I were at the Natick Mall, and someone actually stopped Chris to compliment his goatee. But this guy had like the awesome, like the twirly mustache.
The Raleigh fingers mustache.
I didn't know if you'd know that reference. Okay, perfect. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. And so we were actually going to stop that guy and tell him how much we liked his mustache. And so then I was wondering, like, is that a thing? Do people ever with a mustache stop and talk to you about your mustache?
They do. This mustache presently on my face is only, I'd say it's roughly a month and a half old. So it's fairly new.
I've seen you with bigger.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the appreciation is definitely there. There's some guys on our department who can grow some pretty impressive mustaches.
So the game we're going to play, so I must ask you a question.
Oh, let's see it.
It's guess the mustache.
This could be tough.
So
Are
you're
these
gonna
members within the city?
No, they're famous. They're celebrities. So there's
4
4 of them.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll give these pictures to the studio so they can put them on as well. But you're going to just get them on my phone.
Perfect. That's going to be Eddie Murphy. Can't deny that. That's an iconic mustache.
Okay.
Unchanged for decades.
All right. Yes. And then you're probably, I mean, this one. I thought that was the...
Is that Burt Reynolds?
No.
Is it a young Alex Trebek?
No, but now I'm second guessing myself. No, okay. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds.
I don't know.
Okay. That is Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck. How do I not get Tom Selleck?
So, all right.
You know, I'm going to get absolutely crucified for that because my wife's grandmother loves Tom Selleck.
Well,
so she's going to be upset when she sees this.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You can
Sorry, ma'am.
You can redeem yourself with this one.
Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Absolutely, brother.
Yep. Okay, and this is the
I
last.
was a Hulkamaniac as a kid, so you got to get that.
Me too.
I said my prayers and took my vitamins.
Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan, those were the days. You're going to get this one.
All right.
It's the last one.
Steve Harvey.
That's
the greatest
right.
game show host on TV.
That is correct. So that's all we have for time today. Sometimes I like to end with a little game. Not all the time, but
I love it.
When Scott said that about the mustache, I knew what I had to do.
Perfect.
And so is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we wrap up?
I'll say hello to my wife and my beautiful daughter, Penelope. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.
All right. And I would like to thank your parents for raising an awesome kid.
Well, that's
grown up
appreciated.
now.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody for tuning in again. And we'll see you next time.